Hello everyone. Welcome to our fascinating journey into the microscopic world of diseases. Today, we are diving deep into viral diseases, understanding these tiny invaders, how they make us sick, and how we fight back. We'll explore this topic across 4 levels, from the basics to advanced concepts, ensuring you grasp every detail. Let's begin. Ready to discover what viruses are and why they're so tricky? Let's start with the easy concepts to build a strong foundation. Viruses are incredibly tiny, far smaller than bacteria, and they're quite unique. They aren't truly alive on their own, they need to infect a living cell, a host cell, to reproduce. Think of them like tiny pirates needing a ship to sail. Once inside, they take over the cell's machinery to make more copies of themselves. This process often damages or even kills the host cell, which is what makes us feel sick. For instance, the common cold virus invades cells in your nose and throat, leading to symptoms like a runny nose and a cough. It's a clever but destructive strategy. So, how do these tiny invaders spread? Well, it varies. Viral diseases can spread through the air when someone coughs or sneezes, like the flu. They can also spread through contaminated food or water, direct physical contact, or even through insect bites, such as dengue fever carried by mosquitoes. Common examples of viral diseases you might know include the common cold, measles, and chicken pox. The good news is, we have ways to fight back. Vaccination is one of our strongest tools, preventing diseases like polio and measles. Simple actions like regular hand washing and avoiding close contact with sick people are also super important in stopping the spread. Remember, antibiotics, which fight bacteria, don't work against viruses. For viral infections, treatment often focuses on managing symptoms and supporting your body's amazing immune system. Now, let's test your understanding with a few quick questions. First, what is one key difference between a virus and a living organism? Second, name 2 common viral diseases. And finally, why are antibiotics generally ineffective against viral infections? Take a moment to think about your answers. Great job with the basics. Now, let's level up and explore the structure of viruses and their life cycle in a bit more detail. Viruses, despite their simplicity, have a fascinating structure. They typically consist of genetic material, which can be either DNA or RNA, neatly packed inside a protective protein shell called a capsid. Some viruses go a step further and wrap themselves in an outer lipid envelope, which they steal from the host cell's membrane. This envelope helps them hide from the immune system and attach to new cells. This unique structure is perfectly designed to protect their precious genetic cargo and to specifically target and enter host cells, acting like a key fitting into a very specific lock on the cell's surface. Once a virus successfully attaches to a host cell, its mission to replicate begins. This process involves several key steps. First, the virus attaches to specific receptors on the host cell's surface. Then, it gains entry into the cell. Next, the viral genetic material is released from its protective capsid in a process called uncoating. The virus then takes over the host cell's machinery to copy its genetic material and produce new viral proteins. These new components are then assembled into fresh viral particles. Finally, these newly formed viruses are released from the host cell, often destroying it in the process, ready to infect more cells and continue the cycle. Our bodies aren't defenseless against these viral invaders. The immune system has a two-pronged approach. First, there's innate immunity, which provides a rapid, general response, like developing a fever or producing interferons, proteins that interfere with viral replication. Then, we have adaptive immunity, a more specific and powerful defense. This involves B cells, which produce antibodies to neutralize viruses, and T cells, which destroy infected cells. Crucially, your immune system remembers past infections, building memory cells that provide long-lasting protection. This is why you often only get diseases like chickenpox once. Vaccines leverage this memory, teaching your immune system to recognize and fight viruses without you having to get sick first. Time for some medium-level questions. First, describe the basic structure of a virus. Second, list the main steps of a viral replication cycle. Third, what is the primary role of antibodies in fighting a viral infection? Fourth, explain how vaccines help prevent viral diseases. And finally, how do antiviral drugs differ from antibiotics in their action? Think carefully before answering. Excellent work! Now, let's delve deeper into the intricate world of viruses, exploring their diversity, how they cause disease, and the challenges in controlling them. Viruses are incredibly diverse, and we classify them based on several key characteristics. One major distinction is their genetic material. Some have DNA, like herpes viruses, while others have RNA, such as influenza and HIV. RNA viruses are particularly interesting, with subtypes like positive sins, negative sins, and retroviruses, each with unique replication strategies. We also classify them by the shape of their protein coat, or capsid, which can be helical, icosahedral, or complex. Another important feature is the presence or absence of an outer lipid envelope. Enveloped viruses, like influenza, often fuse with host cell membranes, while non-enveloped ones, like poliovirus, might burst cells open. Finally, viruses are also categorized by their host range, meaning which organisms they can infect, be it humans, animals, plants, or even bacteria. Understanding how viruses cause disease, or viral pathogenesis, is crucial. Viruses employ several mechanisms to wreak havoc. Firstly, there's the direct cytopathic effect, where the virus directly damages or kills host cells during its replication process, like the poliovirus destroying motor neurons. Secondly, sometimes the host's own immune response, in its effort to clear the infection, can inadvertently cause significant damage, as seen in cases of dengue hemorrhagic fever. Thirdly, some viruses, like HIV, can suppress the immune system itself, leaving the host vulnerable to other infections. Lastly, certain viruses can even transform host cells, leading to uncontrolled growth and potentially cancer, such as the human papillomavirus causing cervical cancer. Each mechanism highlights the complex interplay between the virus and its host. Viral replication strategies are incredibly varied and depend heavily on the type of genetic material the virus carries. DNA viruses, for instance, often head straight to the host cell's nucleus, where they cleverly use the cell's own enzymes to transcribe their DNA into messenger RNA, which then gets translated into viral proteins. RNA viruses, on the other hand, typically set up shop in the cytoplasm. Positive sins RNA viruses can act directly as messenger RNA, immediately starting protein synthesis. Negative sins RNA viruses need an extra step. They first have to be transcribed into positive sins mRNA before they can make proteins. And then there are retroviruses, like HIV, which have a truly unique trick. They use an enzyme called reverse transcriptase to convert their RNA into DNA, which then integrates right into the host cell's own genome, making them a permanent part of the cell's genetic material. This diversity in replication is what makes antiviral drug development so challenging and specific. Let's tackle some hard-level questions. First, differentiate between DNA and RNA viruses, providing an example for each. Second, explain two distinct mechanisms by which viruses cause pathogenesis in a host. Third, describe the difference in replication strategy between a positive sins RNA virus and a retrovirus. Fourth, what is the significance of antigenic drift and shift in viral disease control? Fifth, name two challenges faced in developing effective antiviral drugs. Sixth, how does the presence or absence of a viral envelope influence its entry into a host cell? And finally, explain the concept of latency in viral infections with an example. You've mastered the complex aspects. Now, prepare for the hardest level, where we'll explore the cutting-edge science, engineering insights, and global impact of viral diseases. The initial encounter between a virus and its host cell is a molecular marvel. Viral entry is a highly specific process where viruses first bind to particular receptors on the host cell surface, much like a key fitting a specific lock. For enveloped viruses, such as HIV or influenza, this often involves the fusion of the viral envelope with the host cell membrane, either directly or after being engulfed by the cell in a process called endocytosis. Non-enveloped viruses, like poliovirus, typically enter via receptor-mediated endocytosis, then create pores or lyse the membrane to release their genetic material. Once replication is complete, new viruses exit. Enveloped viruses bud off, acquiring their new envelope from the host cell's membrane, while non-enveloped viruses often cause the cell to burst, releasing many viral particles simultaneously. These intricate molecular mechanisms are critical targets for antiviral therapies. Viruses are masters of disguise and deception, constantly evolving sophisticated strategies to evade our immune system. One prominent method is antigenic variation, seen in influenza viruses, which rapidly mutate their surface proteins through antigenic drift or even reassort their genes through antigenic shift, creating new strains that our existing antibodies can't recognize. Some viruses, like HIV, directly suppress the immune system by infecting and destroying key immune cells like CD4 plus T cells, leaving the body vulnerable. Others, like herpes viruses, can remain dormant in host cells for extended periods in a state called latency, hiding from immune surveillance, only to reactivate later. Viruses also employ mimicry, producing proteins that resemble host molecules, confusing the immune system, or they interfere with antigen presentation, preventing infected cells from displaying viral antigens on their surface, thus avoiding detection and destruction by T cells. These evasion tactics underscore the dynamic arms race between viruses and their hosts. Developing effective antiviral drugs is a complex engineering challenge, targeting specific viral processes without harming host cells. Key targets include blocking viral attachment and entry, preventing the virus from even getting into the cell, or inhibiting uncoating, which stops the release of the viral genetic material. Many antivirals, like acyclovir for herpes or remdesivir for COVID-19, act as nucleic acid synthesis inhibitors, mimicking building blocks to halt viral genome replication. Protease inhibitors, used against HIV and hepatitis C, block viral enzymes crucial for cutting long viral proteins into functional units. And neuraminidase inhibitors, like oseltamivir for influenza, prevent newly formed viruses from being released from infected cells. However, the high mutation rate of viruses often leads to drug resistance, necessitating the development of combination therapies and a continuous search for new drug targets to stay ahead of these rapidly adapting pathogens. This constant innovation is a testament to the ingenuity of biomedical engineering. Emerging viral diseases, new infections, or those rapidly increasing in incidence, often arise from a phenomenon called zoonotic spillover, where viruses jump from animal reservoirs like bats or birds to humans. This transfer is accelerated by factors like habitat destruction, which increases human-wildlife contact, and global travel and trade, which rapidly spread pathogens across continents. Climate change also plays a role by altering vector distributions and animal migration patterns. Intensive livestock farming can create ideal conditions for viral evolution and transmission. Diseases like SARS, MERS, Ebola, Zika, and critically, SARS-CoV-2, which caused the COVID-19 pandemic, are stark examples. These events highlight the critical need for a One Health approach, integrating human, animal, and environmental health surveillance to predict, prevent, and respond to future outbreaks, safeguarding global health and economic stability. It's a chain of impact that affects everyone. Now for the first set of 5 hardest level questions. First, Describe the molecular events involved in the entry of an enveloped virus into a host cell. Second, explain how antigenic shift in influenza viruses contributes to pandemic potential. Third, outline 3 distinct mechanisms by which viruses evade the host immune response. Fourth, discuss the challenges in developing antiviral drugs, specifically mentioning to different drug targets and the issue of resistance. Fifth, define zoonotic spillover and provide 2 factors contributing to the emergence of new viral diseases. Take your time to formulate comprehensive answers. Here are the final 5 challenging questions. Sixth, compare and contrast live attenuated and mRNA vaccine technologies, highlighting their advantages and disadvantages. Seventh, elaborate on the One Health approach in the context of emerging viral diseases. Eighth, how do viruses specifically interfere with host cell machinery to replicate, giving an example of a cellular process exploited by a virus? Ninth, explain the concept of viral latency and its implications for disease management and treatment. And 10th, discuss the role of global surveillance systems in mitigating the impact of viral pandemics. These questions require a thorough understanding of the topic. And that brings us to the end of our deep dive into viral diseases. We've covered everything from the basic structure of viruses to their complex replication strategies, immune evasion tactics, the science behind vaccines, and the global challenges of emerging pathogens. I hope this journey has sparked your curiosity and enhanced your understanding of these microscopic yet powerful entities. For more such engaging and in-depth educational content, make sure to visit synapse.omaps.in. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel for regular updates and new lessons. Keep learning, keep exploring, and stay curious.